drive. Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. Provided to you by 214 Media. You know who I am, man. I'm your host, Mual, Hen Dog Mual, all that good stuff, man. AJ is actually in here. Let me go ahead. He started off that joint. Ron gotta go. AJ in. Let me go ahead and add AJ in. Give me 2 seconds. Boom. There we go. Who is this messaging me? It's showtime, baby. I ain't got time for no messages. Oh. What's going on, Dre? Let me go. I said this is AJ. My bad, I'm tripping. I'm all over the place right now. AJ, what's going on, big dog?
Cool, man. How are you?
Look, man, I'm doing all right, bro. I'm fresh in from a workout, so I'm a little upset, man. I like to take my shower before this goddamn show, but I gotta wait a little bit. Late and shit, but it is what it is, man. Okay, so I got a couple more jobs. Let me go and get Dre in this thing right quick. While we're waiting, let's get these administrative items out of the way. If you are new to the Trap or Die podcast or just checking in, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's definitely appreciated. Show some love in the chat, man. Be a part of the conversation. You know where we starting. Mike already started that shit saying, Ron, gotta go. He ain't wasting no time. He was respectful. He said, blessings, everyone, and then followed up with fire his ass. He ain't wasting no time, man. Dre, how you feeling today, big dog?
I'm feeling like Michael. Shit, man. Like I told y'all before, man, a new AJ out here, man. You know what I'm saying? Shit, Ron Rivera and turn me heel, man.
Oh my goodness, man. It is a lot going on right now, and I guess we'll get right into it. What's going on, Hawk? Appreciate you checking in. We'll get right into it, and for context and for the flow of this conversation, I guess it will be appropriate because Ron Rivera it'd be appropriate to play the videos to be specific. But Ron Rivera, for those who don't know, he had some issues or said some things about the quarterback position and how it relates to the inability to be where he wants to be or how it contributes to not being where he wants to be. So he had some comments yesterday that shook up the world, and I'm gonna tell you all some shit that really pissed me off. What's going? Hey, Wellian checked in on Twitch. Said it's lovely to hear. I'm gonna tell y'all some stuff after this, bro. That really agitated me. About it was a byproduct of I'm an innocent bystander, straight bullet, off of this Ron Rivera stuff, man. So and I'm gonna put it out there. Let's go ahead and get to the quotes because I know I'm talking very vague right now. So let's go get into it and then talk about it on the back end. Let me go ahead and remove these screens. Boom, there we go. Share the screen. And it's for everybody. So we had that full. Boom. All right, let's go.
Aaron, following up on John's question about the Giants, they're up to a faster start. The Eagles, the Cowboys, they've kind of all been rebuilding too the last couple of years, and it seems like they're farther ahead. Why do you think the teams in the division are farther ahead at this point?
Quarterback.
Is that? With quarterback like the Cowboys, for instance, they don't have Dak Prescott this season and still have been able to win.
They started with
him,
Dak, and they built around Dak, and the offense is built around Dak. Their backup's a guy that is very solid inside of what they do. And the truth is that this is a quarterback-driven league. And if you look at the teams that have been able to sustain success, they've been able to build it around a specific quarterback.
Chose the quarterback here, though. So do you have any regrets about that, or how do you?
No, I got no regrets about their quarterback. I think our quarterback has done some good things. There's been a couple of games that he struggled. I basically told him that I spoke to my team this morning. I basically told them that I said some things that were misconstrued. I didn't present it properly, and that's on me. So I took accountability, told the guys that, I should know better, and I had a bad day. So I figured, feeling better today, let's move forward. So to me, as far as I'm concerned, it's really now about the most important thing. That's getting ready for football.
Did you worry that you had caused maybe an unnecessary distraction in a week where you're short?
Very much so. And that's why, I apologize to the guys. And, it's been good. The players have been really positive about it. And, Carson and I had a nice conversation. So I think we're ready to roll.
There it is, fellas. So let me go ahead and remove this. I had the background noise going to get out of that. All right. There was Ron Rivera. The first clip, for those who weren't familiar, that was the comments from yesterday. And then the last clip, the last audio is obviously him coming back the next day, meaning today, speaking on what happened and how he handled it with his team. Fellas, I'm going to hand the floor over to you all. Whoever wants to take the stab at it first, you got the floor. Oh, the thing that I was talking about, my bad. So I had an interview lined up with a player that I can't, like, by way of Hogs Haven. And I'm not going to say the player's name, but and this is why I told people on the morning show, I get superstitious. Bruh, I get superstitious about shit because by the grace of God, like I like, you never know what's going to happen with bigger interviews. So I'm like, man, if I have it, I'll put it out there, the video and stuff like that, or I'll give you the previews, but I'm not going to say this dude's name until it's confirmed. And on like clockwork, Ron Rivera says what he says yesterday, and then all of a sudden, 7 a.m. this morning, get an email saying, "Hey, I can't do this show." I was like, it didn't even dawn on me until like noon that I think he canceled because of Ron. And when I heard something like 20 minutes ago from Pete Haley that he had a conversation with Antonio Gibson in the locker room, and one of the things that he said in that locker room was what was the word? Antonio Gibson said that part of the meeting that he had with Ron Rivera, based on the conversation or the presser that he just had earlier today with the media, he said the conversation that the players had with Ron Rivera was that how the media likes to misconstrue things and take things out of context. And my thing is, like, if that's what you're telling these guys, I know damn well, like, from my personal side, I know damn well there's a reason why this meeting was canceled now. But secondly, you also told me something that's even bigger than my little thing. It's how you really didn't even take that much accountability at all when you spoke with your players. Get a floor to you all. Anybody want to take the stab at it first? You got it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ron quarterback situation, one, he did throw Wentz under the bus, but two, and most importantly, honestly, he's incorrect. Those other teams are having success because they play good defense, as well as they understand that their quarterbacks are limited in some capacity, and they scheme around that. It's not like you got like world beaters at quarterback in the NFC East. You're not having Jalen Hurts throw for 400 yards out here. Cooper Rush is not throwing for 400 yards out here. Daniel Jones is not throwing for 400 yards out here. They're playing complementary football. But on top of that, their defense on the other side are making plays. They're creating turnovers. That's why those teams are 4-1, 3-8. I think everybody's 4-1, and Eagles are 5-0. Like, that's the reason why they're winning. It's not the quarterback per se. At the end of the day, once again, Ron isn't going to take accountability for him being a poor head coach in 2022. Is not innovative in no form or fashion. I tweeted how they pretty much have had Carson Wentz throwing the ball over 40 times a game. That is not a recipe to winning with Carson Wentz. If you have a bad offensive line, why are you dropping your quarterback 44 times in a game? Like, I think this past game was the lowest attempts that he's had since he's been with Washington, which was 38. Like, you're running the ball 13 attempts. Your guy that just came out of from injury because he got shot in his knee ran the ball more than your starting running back.
Hey, Wentz, the 40 passes in the game thing. I saw this number before the season started, and I never shared it because I just didn't know when I would need it yet. Wentz, but this is before the start of the season now, so you can count the record after this. Wentz is 8-22-1 when he throws at least 40 passes in the game. Like 8-22-1. Like, he's only, and that's a 25% win percentage. So now you go, what, he you said in the 4-game losing streak he's thrown 40 plus, right?
Yeah, he's thrown
There you
40
go.
plus.
826 and 1.
Yeah, so I mean, but it's like that's the thing about Carson Wentz, man. It's like nobody knew him better than Frank Wright. What did Frank Wright have him doing in Indianapolis, trying to make him a game manager? Because the more that you put him back there to throw the ball, the more opportunities you're giving him to make mistakes. So that's why they ran the ball so much. And here, they're not even trying to run the ball. Like I said, why does Brian Robinson have the most carries out of all of your running backs? Jonathan Williams, J.D. McKissick, and Antonio Gibson. He's coming back from his first game after getting shot in his knee. Like, it just does not make any sense at all. Like, it's just it's poor coaching. Like, coaching matters. So many people undervalue coaching in all sports, but when you have someone that is not just the head coach but also in charge of player personnel and decisions of the roster, how can you then blame one position when you are the one that acquired him? That's why whoever asked him the question was like, but didn't you pick Carson Wentz? You feel me?
Matt Parrish, Matt Parrish.
Yeah, and that's why I said that Carson Wentz was not who they really wanted to get. They wanted, and they were going all in for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson declined, and from that, they scrambled. And that's why even the trade looks the way that it does for Carson Wentz. You could tell that they were reaching. They were desperate. And that was not the guy that they really wanted. And now it's showing, but okay, you went and got this guy, and now you're not doing a fair job of protecting him. But overall, you're just not playing good football on both sides of the ball. Like, all of your free agent acquisitions are not being utilized correctly. Like, even take Curtis Samuel. Like, people came on here after the week 1 game was like, yeah, shut up, AJ, Curtis Samuel. What has he done since? He's done nothing. He hasn't even been utilized the same since week 1. Like, let's keep it a buck. Like, he's not been utilized like he was week 1 since then. Then on top of that, you go and get a William Jackson in free agency. And even in the presser today, he was kind of like, we asked him to do things that he wasn't doing before. Why would you do that? Why would you bring in a guy at a high clip and ask him to do something different than what he's been doing, what he's accustomed for, what attracted you to even wanting to sign him? Like, you don't make sense. And that is the reason why these teams are excelling. And I brought it up a couple of weeks ago. When the Eagles did, luck up into the playoffs, what did they do? They built around that this offseason. They went and got A.J. Brown via trade. They went and acquired more picks to get Jordan Davis via trade. They went and got Nakobe Dean. They signed Hassan Reddick. They signed James Bradbury. They did different moves to add to what they already had on their roster and be aggressive. Whereas when Washington made it 2020, they brought Curtis Samuel and William Jackson, David Mayo, and I don't even know, DeAndre Carter or whatever. And that was it. And Ryan Fitzpatrick. Wow. I mean, but then you want to tell people it's the quarterback? Like, Ron, you've never built a team, man. And I text y'all this privately before I let Dre talk. Like, Trey Turner, Andrew Norwell, and Ron Rivera, they owe Cam Newton some commission, bro. Because, like, Cam Newton really made that thing run in Carolina, and a lot of people made careers off of it. A lot of people got paid from it. Like, Trey Turner and Andrew Norwell weren't elite players, but they looked like it to the media who helps to push these guys into these all-pro categories, these Pro Bowls and stuff of that nature. And it made you believe that these guys were actually good. But when you have a scrambling quarterback, you got a quarterback that's also winning quite frequently when he does play. It tends to make those around him look good. But when they got in other systems, they didn't look good. Trey Turner didn't look good in San Diego or Pittsburgh. And what did Washington do? Bring him in. Andrew Norwell, after he got paid being the highest guard in NFL history, he did not look good in Jacksonville. There's a reason why he was free a couple years after, and they went and acquired Brandon Sheriff. So it's just Ron is not taking accountability, point blank, period.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest takeaway from yesterday's presser. For me, like I said, I had already just started getting on the train of this guy's got to go. But yesterday was like confirmation for me, like listening to that presser, because for me, I don't like a manipulator. And I feel like Ron tried to manipulate the audience, the media, and everyone into another one of these woe is me things. And for me, like I said, I can buy that year one. I can buy that you aren't there year one. I can also buy it year two and say, okay, well, it still takes a little time, but you can get there. But then when you come into year three, especially when Ron himself set expectations for this season that no one else has set, these expectations for the season. Ron said this was a step forward season. He said, I went out and I got
in
my
March.
Yes, he said that. And he was actually confident all off season. Even after March, he was speaking very confidently and highly of this team and what he thought they were capable of doing this year. He said, I got my quarterback, I'm confident in the roster that I built, my coaching staff, whatever the case may be. He was confident, and that was the message all off season. Now, when we're sitting here watching a steaming pile of, we're watching it again this year. It's actually regression. That's what we're watching. Now, Ron is trying to change the messaging. He's trying to change the messaging again. And he did that yesterday in the press conference. The question that was directly asked was in reference to everyone else in the division has gotten better, and they've had rebuilds within the last couple of years that you've had your rebuild. Why are they better? Ron looked like he had no preparation for that answer whatsoever. And he said the first honest thought to his mind, quarterback. And for me, and that's why I was glad that Matthew Paris had followed up and said, but you chose the quarterback. But that's not it, Ron. But that's just him trying to make everyone else feel sorry for him and saying, oh, we're still not there. But now no one believes you. Like I said, you can fool people the first couple of years, but in year three, you're not fooling anyone by trying to come up with another excuse. You have nowhere else to run and hide. So this is when you take accountability. Even with his comments today, when he was, apologizing, or he gave his apology, that apology didn't come off to me as something sincere and that, I'm sorry about what I said or how it came off. He was more so sorry and how people reacted to the conversation. Like he was sorry for how people took it and perceived it, as in that, when he says things like, that's on me, I forget how things get turned. No, you put that out there.
And listen to how long, like, Brett, today was the first time in 3 years. Fuck it. It's the first time in 3 years that you ever heard him say, I messed up. Yeah. And the one time that you say I messed up, it's about the fact that you allowed the media to misconstrue your words.
Yes. Yes, that's my point.
Crazy, bro.
So it's not that he was sorry or saying that, hey, I messed up in the sense that, that should have never came out or whatever. It was more so, I'm sorry because you guys are sensitive and you all are going to take what I say the wrong way. So I'm sorry for even giving you all that ammo. That's what bothered me. And that's a classic kind of, and I don't want to actually call Ron this, but it's a narcissist move to do what he did. It's like now, you're trying to insult the people's intelligence. You're trying to move goalposts. Like I said, you're trying to change your messaging. Like we've heard you, like we've listened to you. Like some of us believed you. I believed him. I thought that, hey, this guy, he has a plan. He's doing what he's doing. But now we see and now I'm learning, I don't think there was ever any real proactive plan that they had. Everything they did was kind of reactive. Like, oh man, this happened. Now we have to react versus, being ahead of the 8 ball and being proactive to things. So now you're seeing we're kind of doomed with this guy. As long as he's here, nothing about him suggests that he's being proactive about anything. Like I said, he wants to blame the quarterback and say, hey, this is why these teams are ahead. Like as AJ and everyone else has mentioned, Cowboys aren't winning because of the quarterback. I don't think the Giants are winning because of their quarterback situation. The fact of the matter is you're losing because, all right, we'll start with ownership. That's always going to be the, given thing. But then we're losing also because of coaching. And it's not just Ron, it's everyone. It's everyone on this staff that's playing a part in this. You're losing because of roster building, the way you built this roster. You were confident in guys that you had 4 or 5 years ago to make me think, like I said, when we talk about Andrew Norwell and we talk about Trey Turner, it makes me think that they didn't really do a real thorough scouting report this season on interior offensive
they used that Joan from 6 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they just go based off of you got Corn Elder, Norwell, David Mayo. You got a damn kicker. You got Joey Slott. Like, you just bringing in former Panthers. Like, hey, what's good with the former Panthers? Like,
he was good for me at one point. Now let's go back to that well. I liked him. I'm familiar with this guy or whatever. Let's bring him back. Never mind if he was anything last year or the year before last, but I thought he was good at one point. Bring this guy in. And that seems to be their plan. And that's why you see the roster that's out there is significantly behind everyone they're playing. Like even Detroit, like Detroit is out there getting their ass whooped now, but they
I was
crushed
just
us
about to
week
say
2.
the
You
one
know,
win that they got.
Hey Dre, you know what's funny? So we always make fun about them bringing in all these Panthers. When Washington needed a quarterback, they never called Cam Newton. It's for a reason. It's because he's a polarizing figure that would have told the locker room, like, yo, Ron ain't shit, dog. Like, Ron ain't shit. It just doesn't make sense. Like, all these Panthers have came back, and you needed a quarterback that already knew the system. He knows Scott Turner's system, and he knows Ron and Scott. You never thought about bringing him in? It just tells you, like, they were trying to shy away from certain personalities. Like, it's crazy.
right. And for me now, it's just getting a little bit concerning to me because now I'm just fearing that we're kind of under some kind of dictatorship rule under Ron, and for me, I know AJ, you think that it's a possibility he can get fired in season. I'm a little bit less confident about that, but
We're gonna talk about that one
it's
too.
yeah, we'll get to that. But it's just the concerning thing to me is, the more this guy has control and accountability, and the more I'm watching of him, he's not acknowledging his mistakes and his mess ups. And this could spiral even further out of control.
Yeah. First off, my bad to everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody checking in. Hawk, like I said, Aaron, Cole, appreciate you checking in. I did not have Carson lined up, but it was a starter on the defense. That's why it was so frustrating. Hawk checking in. Who was that? Outlaw King, appreciate you checking in. Law, what's going on? Said Scott Turner is ass. Well, guess what? The whole coaching staff might just be under that same umbrella. He said yesterday reminded him of Jay Gruden slamming RG3 and Baby and Cousins. Knew that man wasn't the head coach after the end of year pressure. They've got favorites and the ones they won't protect. Okay, so for me, you all said a lot, and I agree with everything. I think one of the ways that kind of hurts Rivera too is also to add to the conversation. He was asked on several occasions to clarify, and in what way, when you go onto the radio station, the team radio station, you're gonna have an opportunity to say your piece and not necessarily get challenged. Like it's you have your media moments and you have your interviews with that radio station, but ultimately it's perfect timing because if you go over there after an instance like that and if you think about the quotes that came out of that prep or the interview on the radio station, the team radio station, that's probably the same message that he had to his players. This thing's going to get construed one way, and I should have known. But matter of fact, let me bring it up because that's what's really going to take more context in this whole thing. Because if you think about how he handled that whole thing with the interview, it'll probably, let's see, where is it at? Okay, yep. This is from Nikki Javala, said that Ron Rivera said on the Don Geronimo show. Let me go ahead and share this thing just in case y'all didn't see it as well. For everybody that's in here too, that'll probably help. And then go ahead and remove this. All right, here we go. On the Don Geronimo show about Carson and everything with yesterday. And he said, I didn't have to. I was fortunate enough that our media relations director contacted him and let him know, me and Carson. And I actually talked to Carson this morning. In fact, I talked to the whole team. I had a mea culpa moment and that I should know better. I created a little bit of distraction. And that's the one thing I try not to do. And it's the one thing I'm very aware of. Again, it's one of those things that when you misstep, people can't wait to dive onto it and jump onto it and hold on to it without an opportunity to explain yourself. So, hey, that's on me. That's on me. Accountability. I should know better. I think this is the message that he gave to his team. I think that's literally it.
I told you.
Yeah, I think that's literally it. Like, and for him to say that, and I responded to Nikki, and I was like, I pulled up the pressure, and I'm sitting here saying, let's count how many seconds that went by before Matt Paris said, you know what, let's follow up. Like, there's 3 seconds that goes by, Ron. Like, your answer was your answer. And ultimately, what I think with the answer in itself, the quarterback thing, AJ said that, it's a whole other things that plays into factors. Actually, the roster construction but I also think that there's a couple things too. I think that what he was saying is still partially true. But I don't think I don't think he meant to say it in that way. Like, he didn't mean no harm to Carson. He didn't mean to throw him under the bus, but it don't matter because you throw him under the bus. That's the first
where
thing.
he ended up.
Yep, that's exactly where he ended up.
He said what was on his mind. He
Exactly.
knows, bro. Like, you can't watch football and can't tell like this man is not. He's not it at quarterback, bro. Now you have him under your umbrella. You're seeing it every day. You know he's not it.
And then the second thing about the whole quarterback thing is that when you say something like that and he acknowledges a misstep, like the communication part for a person who is very mindful of what he says. Like, sometimes he's very short answered, and this one came back to bite him in his ass, and he didn't realize what he said. He didn't have a counter for it. He didn't have a defense. Like, when he was backed up in the corner, he didn't have a way out. And I think that for all of the reasons and all of the ways in which he gives these, youth is a problem, health is a problem, injuries are hurting us, you just threw out quarterback for what? Like, you had all these, like, you can't keep going back to injuries. You can't keep going back to your offensive or injuries on your offensive line. You can't keep going back to this team is young. You're the 12th youngest team in the NFL. And people that's ahead of you, that's actually younger than you, are doing better than you. And two of them are, matter of fact, three of them are in your division. Like, this, you can't keep going back to the same well. And I think ultimately what Ron did, he just didn't think and it shed light into how he really felt about his team. It came from a roster construction, like you all said, but then it also came from the fact that he's telling the truth, but he can't find his way out of it unless he blames the media. And blaming the media is the last straw that he had.
I mean, I really don't even think players are really listening to him anymore. They're toning him out. At the end of the day, it's just that a lot of the guys on the roster are guys that haven't been paid yet. They're not guys that are on their second deals where they feel like they could really be as outspoken. I mean, you heard Defoe, after the Lions game, hey, it felt like they knew everything that we was doing. He just said that off the rip, like just off the top of his head, because he's not even used to being asked questions by the media, especially since he's been in the league. He said what he said, but he meant that. You feel me? It's just that, a lot of the guys, like I said, on the roster, they don't really have that financial security to really speak their mind about how they feel about certain things. They just rolling with the punches. But I mean, if they lose Thursday, man, some got to change. Like you got to do something.
So I asked the question on Twitter, and AJ, you brought it up to us. Let me ask it directly how you asked us. You said you wanted to know what should happen. Where the hell did this junk go? Oh, what should happen? What's your move if they lose on Thursday? You know the drill. I'm gonna hand it over to you all. What should happen? Is this something where we're looking at a you know what? Get the floor to you all. I'm not even gonna do it. What's up?
All right. I'll take a stab at it. If personally, and this is because this is spiraling out of control. Now, if you lose Thursday, this is the Chicago Bears, who, I mean, Tennessee Titans were a winnable game to a regular team. They almost won the game, but they lost. I mean, that's what losing teams do. Chicago Bears, another game which you look at, normal teams will look at and say, hey, we can beat the Chicago Bears. We're not a normal team. We're that team that you look at and say we can beat the Washington Commanders. But if the Washington Commanders go out there and lose to the Chicago Bears and go 1-5 to start this season, personally, if I was the owner of the team, I'm firing Ron Rivera. Like, Ron Rivera has to go. That's because it's not even just the point of you lost to the Chicago Bears at that point. Now it's become you've lost this team. You've lost your team. No one's responding to your messages anymore. And that's what AJ is saying, that people aren't listening to him. And I believe AJ at this point. I believe no one's listening right now because you're losing. You just keep going out there and you're losing. And this is year 3 that you're losing. This is not year 1 that you're losing, not year 2. This is year 3 that you're losing. And these same players, a lot of these people are your handpicked guys. Some of the best players in this team have been here longer than you. What are they to believe anymore? And those people that have been here longer than Ron, like the Terrys and the John Allens and those type of guys, I think even Deron Payne, these guys experienced losing before Ron. So Ron, when you come in, you talk to those type of guys, you're supposed to be turning something around, but nothing's being turned around. You're still losing. So then you get to the point now where you're stumbling in press conferences. You don't know how to answer questions. You're causing even bigger distractions than just the losing, which none of this should exist in the Ron Rivera era, because Ron Rivera is supposed to change the culture, right? So that means nothing's changing at this point. You go out there, you lose to the Chicago Bears, you go 1-5, Thursday Night Football, you make the move. That's what I would do. I'm not confident that the move will be made, but you should make that move on Thursday if you lose that game.
Yeah, man, I think they should leave him right in Chicago where it all started. Like, where it all started for him, right in Chicago. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, this team is under a rebrand. The name of the team, of the new team, is already shitty, Commanders.
How can Jason Wright sell anything right now?
You can't sell anything to anybody if you lose 5 straight. Like, you beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, which you should have lost, and that's the only game that you created the turnover. And they picked number 1 in the draft some months ago. So it's like, it's just, if you lose 5 in a row and then you lose to the Bears, you just gotta leave them where it all started. Like I said, like, and we really probably not even gonna dissect the game as much, but when you think about it, Carson's going against the guy that schemed up the defense against him in practice all last year with the Colts, and Matt Eberflus, who is now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Williams, who was the DC over there, ran the defensive line for the Colts last year. So they know exactly what to do
They
against
probably got
Carson
a special
Wentz.
game plan for him.
Yeah, they gonna blitz more than they typically do. Like, they played Tampa 3, but they gonna blitz more. Like, they know exactly what to do against him and what, coverages he likes and what he doesn't like. So at the end of the day, I just feel like if Ron ends up losing this game as a head coach, you have to move on. You have to do something. I mean, I don't know who you make an interim. I probably would go with Harris, if anything. But also Scott Turner got to go. And also Jack Del Rio got to go. I mean, I seen Sunday after the Panthers game, there was, or even Monday morning, I seen Ian Rappaport, talk about how David Tepper is going to be patient with Matt Rule. Nah, 2 hours later, that boy got fired. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you just can't keep having this type of product being put out there. And you also don't want to lose your players, because you lose 5 straight in a row, you're going to lose your players. These are guys, a lot of the guys on the team come from winning programs. They know what winning football looks like. They know what a winning culture is. They know what a winning organization is. And you can't keep feeding people bullshit. If it's not clicking, man, it's like, if you keep getting slapped in the face, you're going to keep standing there, or you're going to move, or you're going to hit back. And right now, under his tenureship, they just keep getting slapped in the face. Even the year they made the playoffs, that was, that was by luck, but it wasn't no winning record. Like, they weren't winning out here. Like,
the division is historically bad.
They got in with a 7-9 record. Like, that wasn't winning. You just been getting slapped in the face, and yet your coaches keep telling you about, we got to do better. Nah, what are you gonna do to get better? Because you've been losing for, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, when's the last time he's had a winning record as a head coach? 2017.
I could tell you in 2 seconds, bro.
It's
been a little minute. He's last had a winning record in 2017. He went 11-5. But I think the last time he even won a playoff game, I believe, was 2015.
Yeah,
Let me double check though, but it's been a minute.
And he'll tell you,
but
you the quarterback.
Yeah,
that's it.
And you just been losing, and you had veterans on that team, and you still losing. That's why I encourage people to watch that All or Nothing season of the Carolina Panthers. You'll learn so much. Like, even a clip floated this week where he was yelling at guys in the locker room, and I remember the episode. They got their ass whooped against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Like, I think it was like 51 to like maybe 20. Like, they got whooped. So at the end of the day, he's just not an innovative coach. He's brought over the same people to run the same thing, and he just doesn't plan on changing. As you can see, what points to this getting any better or improving? There's nothing. You're hearing them every week talk about running the ball more, and they're doing less of it. Like, think about it. In the past couple of weeks, you heard them saying they want to run the ball more, and they ran the ball 13 times. And I think Carson Wentz had 5 carries.
Yeah, they ran it 12 times with the backs. They had, I think AG had like 3 or 4 carries, and then B-Rob had the rest of them. And then Carson Wentz had 14 total designed runs. And Carson Wentz, I mean, the centers low snapped 2 of them or 3 of them. And that's how, so it was bad, bro. Either way, they didn't run it enough, to your point.
Yeah, and it's like you're not even trying to help out these poor offensive linemen. Like, you're not trying to help them out by running the ball. You keep putting them in pass pro,
But
and
that
they
shit was
getting
bad
punished.
yesterday, though.
They literally getting pushed around like little kids, and it's like, at what point? What do you do during the week? Like, after the game happens Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what are you doing? Like, what are you installing? Because nothing is changing, and a lot of heat has been taken off of Jack Del Rio because the offenses look so bad, but the defense ain't no better either. They ain't creating no turnovers. Like, they're still not getting to the ball.
Great opportunities. Like, you just staying on the field, and I mean, you get off on third down, but ultimately, like, if you're not really put it this way, like you said, one turnover is just inexcusable. Like, it really just ends there. One turnover is inexcusable. The fact that your special teams can't even help. And why do you have Dax Milne back there as long as he's had? I think he's going to change things up now. Like, he's hinting to it in terms of kickoffs.
Bro, why does it take you 5? Why does it take you?
That's what kills
5. I mean, 6 games to realize, this.
He's off after the second game, bro. He may be benched in the second game.
This is that slow reaction.
You know this in preseason. You know this in preseason. He ain't like he ain't going nowhere. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. There's no innovation. It's the stubbornness. Like, I'm gonna continue to do it my way. I even told y'all about, William Jackson. Like, you even seen today in the presser. Like, now he's trying to come back and be like, his injury. All right, bro. Like, we know what's up, man.
Ron ain't even trying to let him have that. That's crazy.
I know what's up. Like, William Jackson probably played his last game here already, because, like, in these type of situations, you don't even want to keep coming on the field and putting out bad tape, because you don't even understand what's going on with what they calling, and it's making you look bad. Like, you just gonna say, man, my injury's fucked up. Like, or you can even put it on some mental health if you want to, and just collect your check, because the money is not changing, and try to get yourself in a new situation next year. But I don't even think William Jackson III plays again for the Commanders for the rest of the year. It's just poor coaching, man. It, like you said, is someone in charge of too many aspects. He has too many hats to wear, and this is what happens, And it's not like he's been good at any of these things in the past. Like, it's just, you just gave this guy more opportunities just because you feel like, I need to get out the way as the owner. But nah, this time you need to get in the way and fire this motherfucker.
And AJ, that's the thing that's what's really probably hurt Ron more than Ron the coach is Ron the personnel manager, because, like I said, I said earlier, he's just going out and getting guys he's familiar with. Like, he's not getting guys that's good right now that will fit whatever system or scheme he wants to run right now. He's just going out there and he's getting guys he knows, and he liked at one point in their life, especially all of the depth positions, which you're going to see at some point in the NFL season, because injuries are a thing in the NFL. That's just how the game is played. But a lot of these guys he puts in there, just guys that he knows. It's not like a real kind of scouting focus. And that's
this
why
man,
you see
this man Ron, bro. No, I'm about to say this man Ron really, like, think about somebody in your family who's a huge Skins fan, and like, they default to, like, if the Skins doing bad for the last 20 years, they be like, why they don't go back and get Joe Gibbs back in this thing, or why they don't go back and like. That who's that one quarterback? Who's that one player that did? Brian Mitchell. Why can't he come back and coach? Or Doc Walker? He could light a fire under this. Like, Ron Rivera is the coach who operates like that in real life. Like, he's the old head guy who thinks about those old players that he has. Like, that Andrew Norwell, he out there somewhere. Let's go ahead and grab him. Or Trey Turner, he's still here. Hey, come on.
And Mual,
I need you.
But you know why they do that, and those fans do that? Because, and we know this, our fans, a lot of them don't watch the rest of the league. And that's an issue when it's your goddamn personnel decision maker that doesn't watch the rest of the league at this
Shades
point.
of
He
Urban
just
Meyer.
watches-
You know
Yes.
he ain't watching football if he think that the rest of the NFC East is doing good because of the quarterback play. That tells you everything you need to know.
That tells you everything. And that's, like I said, that's an issue when that guy is not only your coach, but he's also the final say in personnel decision making. So that guy is not watching the rest of the league. Yeah, we may have Martin Mayhew and Marty Herney. I mean, a lot of people may say those guys, you know, their time has passed. They're not young or whatever the case may be. But Ron's the final decision maker. And everything I'm getting from Ron is that he's not watching the rest of the league. And the guys he's bringing in, they didn't play for Martin Mayhew. They weren't in Detroit or San Francisco. They were in Carolina with Marty Herney, who probably is not going to say no to Ron Rivera. I mean, you know, this is his right-hand man. This is who Ron Rivera feels confident in. You know, that's why they got rid of Kyle Smith. They brought in Marty Herney. And now they're bringing in a lot of guys that Marty and Ron is just familiar with. It's like we don't watch the rest of the league. We're just bringing in guys we're familiar with.
Yeah. For me, fellas, so back to the question for those who are in the chat. Actually, too, let's get y'all in here. I see y'all talking. Answer the question. What would you all do as well come Thursday if things go left? If Washington ends up losing against Chicago? For me, I still can't fire him. But I will say one thing though. I got a few things to say actually. But Rivera, for as bad as it can look or possibly look right now, like I just think that Ron Rivera, even in his pressers, both of his pressers, like he does, like his mental approach, like the arrogance and the manipulation, like the way he kind of chooses his words and phrases himself, or even like is short breath or very short with his answers. He still looks like a person who's defeated. Like he's tired. And he's tired in a way where he's realizing that I don't know if I can overcome this type of tired. Not anything else that I'm sick of you motherfuckers. Like I think he's just tired because I don't think he knows how to get over this hump. And I mean it's not easy in Washington. And I think the thing that we said for a long time with this media compared to Carolina is that and I don't even, and I think it will be a good thing for us to even get a Panthers person on at some point, and maybe like a bye week can help if he's still around, which I do think he's going to be around, and that's why I'm gonna get back to my answer. Just to kind of see like how they operated with Ron Rivera and how Ron Rivera tried to operate with them. Like, is there things that are similar in how he handled his correspondence and communication with the media down there? Because I don't think he realized that. For 3 years in a row that you can't keep saying the same things and thinking that you ultimately get away with it. Like this is a bigger market. These are people who are very familiar with success here. Like respectfully to those in Carolina, it's just the fact that we've been around longer. We've seen the glory days from a fan base standpoint. I haven't seen shit, but people have seen it. So I just think that he is looking like a guy who's tired and doesn't know how to overcome those things. So like for me, again, what I said, I'm not going to fire him. I wouldn't fire him. I don't think that they're going to fire him. And the reason why I don't think that that's going to happen is two things. Scott Turner and Del Rio, they're not good enough to overcome or to take over. Do you trust Jack Del Rio? I'm not even trust. Do you think that you can sustain with Jack Del Rio as your interim head coach for what 11? It will be 10. It will be 11 or 10 games.
What Mo? What
are you talking about?
Sustain what? Jack Del Rio
agent
interim coach.
So like I said, so I'm let me. I haven't even finished my point yet, and that's where I'm getting at. Like it can't happen. That's exactly what I'm getting at. It can't happen. So you can't fire Ron Rivera because ultimately you'll have to fire Jack Del Rio. You have to fire Scott Turner in the season as well because Scott Turner is not even good enough to take over as a head coach, and you don't have any assistant coaches who are capable of doing it either. So you have to let Ron see this whole thing out. You have to let and I think the only way in which you can get an in-season firing with Ron Rivera is that you're looking at a week. Their bye week is week 14, so you're looking at like, yeah. Let me check. Is it week 14? Hold on. Really week 14. Yeah, week 14. So you're looking at Ron Rivera getting fired after the first Giants game, which was December the 4th. And you have that bye week to figure out who's going to be your interim. But ultimately, I'm not putting Jack Del Rio out there as the face of the franchise after what happened to me. I ain't doing that. And I'm not telling Scott Turner, a guy who can't even figure out how to use his goddamn weapons, that this is the person I'm gonna give an opportunity to prove himself as a head coach. No, Rivera needs to see this thing through. If it comes down to the fact that you're 3 and what'd you say, Dre? You said 1 and 10. Like you can see. I
said 1 and 10 is where I see it could happening. Yes.
Yeah, like if you're at that point, all right, let's reassess. But I still don't even see it going. Like I think it's going to get down to if things happen and things continue to decline for Ron Rivera. I think it's going to get to a point where he ain't going to have shit else to say at the podium except for all right, let me just flip the table and just say fuck it. Everybody got to go down because I don't know who else to blame. I can't keep saying I can't keep going. I don't know. I'm gonna figure out. Hey, what's the assistant coach? God damn it, you gotta go. Like if if Sam Mills wasn't here, if I got rid of him a year ago, we would have been better. Like I don't know. He's gonna figure some shit out, bro.
Let me bring up before I want to hold on. I want you both of you all's opinion on this because I think this is a realistic scenario that can actually play out with this team. I'm bringing this up because I'm a Georgetown basketball fan, diehard Georgetown basketball fan. We just had the worst season that we've ever had since I've been a fan. Like I mean, we didn't win a Big East Conference basketball game, so the fan base was screaming, "Fire Patrick Ewing!" Like fire Patrick Ewing. But we knew it was an uphill battle with that because the university just loves Patrick Ewing for what he's done for the university before. He's a great guy, blah, 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 blah. So what ended up happening was Patrick Ewing got to fire his whole entire coaching staff, bringing all new guys. Yeah, he fired his whole entire coaching staff, brought in all new guys. And now there's actually some kind of optimism in the fan base because of the players that they brought in. Anyway, that's the whole point I'm trying to bring up here. What if that is what happens here? Ron just says, hey, all I have to do is fire Scott and Jack Del Rio and the rest of the coaches that bring in all new guys. And Dan Snyder goes with it because he says, I don't want to first off, I mean, because Dan Snyder hasn't been an impulsive guy. This is what I was kind of telling AJ earlier. Dan Snyder goes along with it because he let Ron create a whole front office and everything. Would you all be okay with a scenario like that where at the end of this year, instead of firing Ron Rivera, he fires and overhauls the whole entire coaching staff and brings in these hot names that's coordinators, DCs, whatever. Is that something you all would be okay with?
Well, the first thing is, if we're talking about coordinators, ain't nobody taking no lateral position to come to Washington. Sure. Like, ain't nobody doing that. And I don't even think you could take interviews. If I'm not mistaken, if you're under contract, I don't even think you could interview for like anything unless it's a promotion. So like he would have to again, you would have to do this
in your coaching contract and permission.
Yeah. So they would have to get like a quarterback coach for some successful
basically more scouting
like that.
Basically more scouting.
Yes.
Yes. They would be like, all right, let's dig into some of these names. And I would not be goddamn surprised if it just happens to be another Carolina connection. I wouldn't be surprised.
First off,
I would be surprised.
I would say my opinion on it.
I'm walking away from this.
Yes. Like,
you want my answer? Hell no. To the no. Hell to the no.
Hey, no, bro. Matter of fact, AJ, I said it in the spaces after the game. I said, bro, one of my worst fears is that if things continue to go south, Dan Snyder isn't going to have an ear to the team anymore. Like, I don't think that he's going to be the one. I shouldn't say that that's what I think is going to happen. I'm saying I fear that this could be a possibility, and that he ain't really paying attention because he got other things to worry about. And that Ron Rivera, while this is a business and while he is, I'm not going to say that he's going to be completely ignorant to what's going on. I just think that he's probably in the sense where I can't fire a guy 2-3 years into this whole new situation. I have to let him ride out his contract because of XYZ, like finding reasons to keep him when you really don't need to keep him. Like if you know it's not working, don't miss out on your opportunity to do better. And I just fear that Dan Snyder can possibly do something like that.
I mean, do you feel that way because of history or because of what's going on off the field at this moment? Because from what I've gathered, being around him, being a fan of the team, whatever. I don't see that. But maybe because of all the stuff going on off the field, maybe that's what's making you feel that way, that he could ride in there with him. Because I just don't see how you could sell this going forward to any fan. No matter if you're a diehard fan, casual fan, or you want to acquire new fans, like you can't go into next year saying, let's say if this ends up being a team that gets the number 1 pick or number 2 or number 3 pick in the draft, that I'm going to let Ron Rivera and either the same motherfuckers or somebody else that's coordinators come in here and select that player. No way. Like Daniel Snyder made his money for a reason. Like, you know, like I understand the situations going on.
Jay Gruden should have got fired after the
damn.
2016 season.
No, Jay Gruden should have, but like I told y'all when we talked about this, he also had his guy in the building, Bruce Allen, who hired him. So until Bruce was gone, Jay never really felt like he could be out of here. Until Daniel Snyder was comfortable in getting away from Bruce Allen, that's when Jay Gruden lost his job.
Man, I'm hearing you. I think what's really driving me to answer your question is the fact that, you know, it's just like you can't trust Dan Snyder to make the right decisions and in the moment. True. Like it sometimes it takes him some time to realize that I should have done something differently. And that's probably was the driving factor that he may miss his window to really take care of business. Like he may miss his window. Like there's some decent coordinators coming. Like they're making their names right now, and Washington has talent on both sides of the ball, like building blocks. I'm not saying it's going to be a whole rebuild. They have building blocks. Yeah. Like you can find, if you have a good person who you can trust the scheme on both sides of the ball, then like you can't miss a window. You can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Daniel Snyder has a problem with the hiring process. I mean, of course, like we said, we always typically know who he's going to hire before the current coach even gets fired, because traditionally he's went after guys that have been there before and have had somewhat success, whether it be the Marty Schottenheimers, the Mike Shanahans, or running it back with Joe Gibbs 2.0, or now even Ron Rivera. You know, the only 2 curveballs have been Jim Zorn, and I guess maybe you could call Jay Gruden the curveball, but that was Bruce Allen's guy. Like he's tied in with the Gruden family, and he was running somewhat of a sufficient offense with Andy Dalton in Cincinnati, but he had major flaws in his coaching abilities, and he still got the job. But I feel like Daniel Snyder in his mind, he thinks he's tried every way to hire the right coach. Like even look at this example with Ron. Like there's what pointed to him needing to be in charge of player personnel. Like he gave him full reign of the whole operation. He didn't even have that in Carolina.
Such a drastic response to firing Bruce Allen is like, I'm gonna give the coach the keys.
Yeah, but it's probably Joe Gibbs probably told him to do that. Joe Gibbs told him to do that. So what you need to happen?
Another person who's out of touch with the NFL. Yeah, respectfully.
But I said that, right, and I challenge a good friend of mine, John Kahn, when he wrote the article about like him about Ron Rivera and Joe Gibbs sitting down, before getting the job, and also with this quarterback process. And like, hey, I respect Joe Gibbs as a legendary coach, but that's the last person on earth to be asking who should be the quarterback of your team for 2022 season. Like, why would he have a pulse on who could be a good quarterback? And John kind of came back at me like, whenever you get the opportunity to ask a guy like that, man, fuck all that shit. Like, at the end of the day, you need to do what you believe is best and what you see on tape. Like, Joe Gibbs is cool and all. I respect legends. I have respect for my elders, but if you're gonna continue to listen to him, that's a major issue. You can't listen to him or search for him. You need to go ahead and hire the best person as a GM first and foremost, and let them do the search, and you just co-sign with that search. Because if you're gonna be out here listening to Joe Gibbs, that's a major red flag. Like, what does he know? Like, I mean, even talk about this Air Coryell system. Like, how many teams' main scheme is Air Coryell these days?
But so here's what Dan hasn't done, and Dan has tried a number of different ways. Dan hasn't hired a real search committee. And, you know, Ted Leonsis actually did this a couple of years ago for the Wizards. Ted Leonsis hired this outside firm, even though I didn't like the results what came with it. But Ted Leonsis hired an outside firm for the Wizards to search and restructure his front office to a modern day front office, which I think will work in the NFL. I think that will be something Dan Snyder will be best suited at. Like, stop trying to, you know, say, oh, well, all I got to do is ask a guy like Joe Gibbs what he thinks, and Joe Gibbs will tell me to go hire this guy or whatever. No, go out there and hire a really good team. They have these people out here. They get paid big bucks to do a search committee, and they can go out and tell you how other people are structured, how successful franchises, not even just successful franchises within the NFL, but successful franchises throughout the world. We're talking about soccer clubs, you know, basketball. These search firms, they do a lot of research and everything. And they say, this is how this is structured. This is how you should do your franchise. That's the only thing Dan hasn't done. And I think that if Dan, which I hope he's not, I hope Dan isn't making a decision, but if he is making a decision, I hope that's his next route. And he
But
goes.
Dre, do you really want him to tap into a search firm? This search firm helped them come up with the name the Washington Commanders, bro. Like,
well, Jason Wright had a plan in that too. But I'm talking about
but they also
hired
a search firm and a creative agency that came up with the name Commanders, bro. The last thing you want to do is spend money on another search agency to help you find a coach.
That's a little bit like apples
those people
to
are
oranges,
stealing.
AJ.
Those people are stealing money. Search firms are stealing money, bro.
Yeah, I get that, but that's that situation is apples to orange, because this is that search firm coming up with that name committee and all of that. This was a difficult situation and a team that a lot of people didn't want this name to change, and this is something you have to be PC in 2022 with the name. So no name. Let's put it like this: no name change. Except for maybe Red Wolves, because a lot of the younger crowd like that, but a lot of people hated Red Wolves as well. But really, no name change was going to bring about any kind of happiness amongst a collective group of people. Like, change is just not something that a lot of people just are willing to accept. But in a case where you're talking about how something is structured within a front office and how things usually work, and I probably normally wouldn't want this case to happen, because we're talking about an incompetent owner in Dan Snyder, a guy who really hasn't done anything right in his whole ownership tenure for the Washington Redskins / Commanders football team. That's probably the best option you could think of for him versus telling Dan Snyder, go out there and hire a GM, which he's probably going to do something you're going to hate, AJ, because we talked about this in our group chat. Somebody like Rick Smith. That's who's going to be the next GM. And you would hate that, AJ, because you've already told us that. And that's what Snyder would do, because someone like Joe Gibbs will tell him that Rick Smith is the guy you should hire. That's what I don't want. I want someone that's going out there doing real extensive research, telling Snyder, this is how you should structure your franchise, your front office. These are the best candidates. This is what you should look at, versus telling Snyder, just go ask a guy you like and respect, and just go off of his advice, because that's what he has been doing, just winging it.
Fellas, this has been an excellent preview of the Chicago Bears matchup with the Washington Commanders.
That's what we play this week?
Yeah, I think so. I think we play them in a couple of days. Let's go ahead and get our score predictions, man, and MVP of the game. I believe right now, for betting purposes, we don't usually do this, but I should start doing it. Washington, I think, are 1-point underdogs in most spots. Yeah. So, who we got? What's the score prediction, and who's the MVP?
AJ,
we got to do it. Hey, we gotta have a purpose.
Score prediction, I'll say 24-10. Chicago Bears.
It. Oh my God.
MVP.
We gonna get smoked by the Bears, bro.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Like, that's definitely how I see it. I mean, I just feel like I don't really have confidence in this team to go out there and get a win. Like I said, they're not creating turnovers, and then they keep dropping back Carson Wentz every damn play. And if you're playing against a team that's based Tampa 2, it forces your quarterback to read defenses, and he does not do well at that. So I definitely see guys like Roquan Smith being impactful on their side of the ball. Robert Quinn is going to eat against whoever is playing tackle on whatever side he's on. And I also believe that Darnell Mooney, their wide receiver, he has enough speed to be able to create downfield. You got poor secondary play, especially in your free safety department. So, yeah, I mean,
Sean
I just
go ahead.
Go ahead. You can read it.
Nah, Sean said Gibbs gonna look at who goes to church the most in the all season. That's who he's going.
That's how he selected
That's
Mark
what
Brunell.
Yeah, I mean that's how the process. That's how the process looking like. Because I mean, I don't know what he could see that would tell him, Carson Wentz. Like, bro,
Gibbs told Rivera,
runs,
Wentz is a man of faith. You need to go trade for him.
Yeah, give him a chance. God told me to give him a chance.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Like, it's just it's crazy, but yeah, I just think it's wild that Gibbs has been the focal point of him hiring Ron Rivera and also the opportunity of running personnel. And then they went back and circled to him to go ask about quarterbacks, and Carson Wentz was the answer. Fuck out of here, dog. Like,
Dre, where you at with this one?
That's BS.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an ugly game, man. I mean, that's just the best prediction from watching this Washington Commanders season. And, I actually watched the NFL. I watched a lot of Bears games. They're an ugly team. They ugly games up, and you got two ugly teams playing.
The boys covered last week, though. I love it.
Yes. Well, yep. And so that's one thing I was actually going to bring up with this whole prediction thing is that Vegas has been losing a lot of money on the Commanders these past couple of weeks because they've been giving the Commanders some favorable spreads. They've been giving the Commanders some favorable spreads, and they're actually doing it again. You would think a team that looks as bad as the Commanders, you're 1-4, you're going on the road against the Bears. You probably had the Bears favored by 4 points, but yeah, I think the Commanders are only a 1-point underdog in this game. So and for me, normally I like those kind of things because I'm like, man, what does Vegas know that we don't know? But that shit hasn't proven right over the last couple of weeks. So you got to think at some point Vegas might break through, but either way, it's still going to be an ugly game. And I do think that we lose this game. We're going to lose this game 17-13. It's going to be an ugly little, whatever, snooze fest type of game. And the MVP of this game is probably going to be Justin Fields because they're probably not going to know how to stop the or contain the quarterback run in this game, and he may actually get off on them. So I have Justin Fields going MVP, and Washington losing 17-13.
Well, I guess it comes down to me. I only got one thing to say, fellas.
Left hand.
We the Commanders, baby. We still gonna lose though. Hey, ever since I didn't know when AJ said that to us, bro. I ain't know what I thought that was some what's that boy name? The quarterback. God damn it, Doug Williams. I thought that was something that he was talking about. I never heard the song until I
heard the song a couple weeks ago when things were still fresh. I thought the song was hot. I was like, damn, all right, Commanders. They losing that shit trash.
I started listening to that John. I said, hold on, dog. Hey, this the best part right here. So I start saying that every time we look like a fool, bro. That's it. But anyway, point being, I think Washington loses too. That's the best I can give you is a hook. That's because that's the best thing going on right now with Washington. I don't even know who they are, but shout out to them. I may fuck around and play them every single show, but yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, no bullshit. I'm gonna go 21-17, probably around the same score that we had with the Titans and Commanders. Washington falls to 1-5. I personally just don't think. I think a short week helps these guys to just forget everything that happened against the Titans, but ultimately. I don't think there's going to be enough to overcome the Bears, man. It's too many mistakes, too many continued mistakes, and too many. And AJ brought up a really good point in that, Eberflus has some history with Carson Wentz, so it's not going to be too difficult for him to really create stress on a guy like Carson, who's also a little hurt right now, though I'm sure he's going to play through it. It's no big deal. but this offensive line too. They were now the Bears is not the Titans, but they got their ass whooped up front. On those 12 handoffs, they got their ass whooped. So I don't even know this particular lineup can really establish anything on the ground. We'll see, but ultimately 21-17 Chicago. We got some score predictions in the chat. 23-13 Sean. Oh my God, Monty said 30-10 Bears. Justin Fields MVP. Forgot the MVP. Who am I going to say? It's going to be somebody on defense. Somebody's going to probably pick off Carson Wentz a couple times, and that's probably going to be it. Whoever.
I'm interested to hear the dialogue that Ryan Fitzpatrick provides during the pregame and the postgame.
Alex Smith been going in, so yeah, this will be interesting actually.
Yeah, we're going to see. But yeah, that's it for us, fellas. We're going to. I think. Should we do postgame live or should we bounce back? Like, we gonna do post game. We're gonna stick around for the midnight crew.
It's Thursday night. I'll be drinking, so I'll be on.
Yeah,
say no more, man.
I'm cool. Do Thursday.
All right, bet. So the fellas, all right. So we got one more loss here. 20-17 Commanders. They'll probably have a drive that Ron gets to try to put his hat on. Hey, so the fellas are back for the midnight crew, man. We right here post game, man.
Who are we? The Commanders.
Hey, we out of here. Y'all enjoy y'all evenings. I'm about to tap into the Deontay Wilder interview on the Pivot, bruh. I heard that John. It's pretty good, man. I can't wait to get my popcorn ready. Got a little drink ready to go. So hey, y'all be safe. Hey, Dre, AJ, I catch y'all on Thursday, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, now.